special meeting. First of all, we'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson's Superior Treaty Territory and that the land on which we gather is a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Métis. It's a small agenda tonight, so call the meeting to order. We have approval of the agenda. Good with the agenda, Doug?
Yep.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Any disclosures of interest? Hearing none, we'll get right into it. Go unfinished business. Resolution 89-22, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Morrow. That council approve the expenditure request and approval to proceed from the Ontario Clean Water Agency for the purchase of a backup flow meter for the Schreiber water treatment plant in the amount of $5,311.36, including applicable taxes. Discussion?
When did we first deal with this particular item?
Well, we knew when we changed out the valve in the fall, in the raw, that we were going to need one, but we dealt with it last meeting.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Carried. Resolution 90-22, moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Stefuric. The council accept the quotation from Global Industrial in the amount of $21,000, $915.93, including applicable taxes, for the purchase of 240 chairs. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I'm good.
Okay, carried. Resolution 91-22. Moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Morrow. The council approved the purchase of 3 sets of bunker gear for the Schreiber Volunteer Fire Department in the amount of $2,760 per set, plus applicable taxes and freight from AJ Stone Company Limited. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I'm good.
Carried. Resolution 92-22, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Morrow. The council accept the 2021 annual summary report for the Schreiber wastewater treatment plant as prepared by the Ontario Clean Water Agency on behalf of the Township of Schreiber. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I'm good with that.
Carried. Pardon?
You can put tags on them for signing. They do that
Well,
tomorrow.
we can do that. We'll move on to other business then. Resolution 93-22. Moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Stefuric. that bylaw 19-22, being a bylaw to adopt the use of corporate resources for election purposes policy be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted.
A bit of an explanation here. This is a policy that is required before May 1st of any election year. And it's required under section 8818 of the Municipal Elections Act. And the purpose of it is essentially to ensure that a municipality or local board shall not make a contribution to an election campaign of a candidate. It's a pretty thorough policy. Really the intent of this policy is just to make sure again that in no way the municipality mixes its resources to any candidate, especially for our incumbent councillors should they choose to run in the election. So we have to make sure that any of your campaigning is separate from municipal resources, and it goes into all the details. So definitely take a good read of it, and if there's any questions, please let me know.
So it would read better actually if it said bylaw 19, non-use of corporate resources. That's what you mean, right?
It's pretty much, this is a template, right? It is a bit of a long name, and I get what you're saying. It also has clarification for staff as well. So getting into the policy, it says who's responsible for doing what. It has the roles laid out for, again, candidates and registered third parties. There's roles for the municipal clerk and for municipal staff to ensure that corporate resources as identified by this policy are not used for campaigning. That is something that we'll be going over as a reminder with staff when we introduce this policy. It goes into details about corporate resources, use of technology, any form of communications, and use of facilities, use of the integrity commissioner. So it's quite interesting here in this section for integrity commissioner, where of course the integrity commissioner can be used, but just keep in mind that can't ask them questions though for campaigning advice, but otherwise for your use for any questions, whatever you may have over code of conduct or whatever, they're still there. Again, if there's any clarification on this policy, please ask me and I'll be happy to clarify.
Sounds good.
I apologize for, again, rushing it. It's that we did have a deadline and it was May 1st, and looks like in previous years we did not pass this policy, but it is something that is required statutory.
Okay, Nathan, sounds good. All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 94-22, moved by Councillor Stefurek, seconded by Councillor Morrow, that bylaw 20-2022, being a bylaw to establish standards for the maintenance and occupancy of property in the township of Schreiber, be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I'm good.
Carried. Resolution 95-22. Moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Stefuric. That bylaw 21-2022 being a bylaw to constitute and appoint a property standards committee in the township of Schreiber be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion?
What I've done here quite simply is just constituted membership for this Property Standards Committee through our Committee of Adjustment, and this was what was similarly done in Terrace Bay. They had actually passed this quite recently, so didn't want to reinvent the wheel here, and just have council take over that. Our Committee of Adjustment will also play the role as our Property Standards Committee. We have a Committee of Adjustment meeting, it'll be a Committee of Adjustment meeting. We have a Property Standards Committee meeting, it'll be Property Standards Committee meeting. And it'll just be all the councillors and, yep, mayor and council.
Sounds good.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, all those in favor?
I'm good.
Carried. Resolution 96-22, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Morrow, that council sponsor the purchase of corsages and boutonnieres for the 2022 Schreiber graduating students of Lake Superior High School. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
I'm good with that.
Carried. Number 5, Recreation Programmer Report. Nathan, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, this is just a concert that's going to be held on July 30th, 2022. Speaking with the recreation programmer, the idea was that wanted to take advantage of people coming in for a drag fest, and that they would probably want something to do, and Terrace didn't plan anything at that time, so he put together this concert for that weekend on July 30th, 2022, and there is going to be a fee that we would have to pay of $1,600, but this is only for the door sales. So essentially, if the door sales exceed $1,600, at that point the band would take the greater amount. If they get less than $1,600 in door sales, we'll have to give them essentially the difference. So should no one show up at the event, the total cost that we'd have to pay for them would be $1,600. Where it comes for us to make profits, that will be through alcohol and liquor sales. So pretty straightforward finances for this.
And that's during the drag race weekend. I mean, we talked about this at our rec committee meeting, and just seemed like an opportunity. There was nothing else going on there as far as dances or any kind of social event. So there's a lot of people in town during that weekend. So I think it, as far as financial is concerned, it'll be fine.
And they're gonna run shuttles from Terrace to Schreiber?
I don't know if we've got that far yet, Dave, but yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend that then.
I think so.
Yeah, we did touch on you know, it's some of the activities that go on during that weekend. Yeah, it would fit in, shuttles would fit in with how that group is, how they go about things on that weekend, so.
Yeah, I see it budgeted here for $300, so I'm assuming that's like a school bus to do a couple runs.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, I'm sure that's the easiest way to go.
and that's the weekend after, our Heritage Days and the big golf tournament. So, but I mean, it's a different crowd. It's definitely all,
Yeah, it's a drag race crowd, so.
yeah.
Okay, so everyone's fine with that?
Yeah, where's the shop?
Bring it forward, okay. And the bylaw, number 6, bylaw enforcement officers report.
So, past April 15th, so vehicles can park out on the streets again.
Yeah, I would hope they use a little common sense when they're parking out on the street.
Yep.
There's one, I got a complaint of one parked out on the street on Drummond Street, and they're blocking a whole lane.
Yep.
So, I mean, even though the date is there, they gotta use common sense.
Yep.
What was the date again, Nate?
It's from April 15th. I think it goes from November 15th to April 15th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We have no update on court dates or anything.
The next upcoming court date for bylaw would be July 4th.
Okay.
Keep you posted if it moves or anything.
Okay.
And did you get any update on the one ongoing property standards violation?
We'll have what do you say, essentially new new paths to move forward now that the new property standards bylaw has just been passed, and this will allow us better means of enforcement. Of course, you have a $300 fine if someone does not follow the property standards order. So the good news is that we do have better means to enforce our property standards and a much clearer property standards bylaw where we can list the issues that we found. So ultimately, we are hoping that this, moves forward and that we don't have to resolve this in court.
Right.
Yeah.
As with everything, but
Yeah.
we all know what happens.
Yep.
Okay, that's, like I said at the start, it was a short meeting and that's it. So resolution 97-22, moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Stefuric, that the meeting now adjourn at 6:51 p.m. All those in favor? Carried.